So I'm Taylor Franks. I'm the UK and I sales manager for Nokia. Had a lot of conversations this morning with people in and around the room, and I'm sure you saw the agenda and you thought, what the hell are Nokia doing at this Barcode-IT event? Why are they relevant? Where have they been since that 3310 mobile? Where's Snake these days? Why don't you upload it on the new Android devices or Apple devices? Well, actually, back in 2007, 2008, the mobile industry was becoming very congested. So at that point, Nokia decided to take a bit of a different strategy. So we stepped away from the mobile market and we focused on mission critical communications, and that was globally. So actually, we provide mission critical communications to a lot of the managed service providers, CSPs, operators, defense, safety type organizations globally. And actually, to that extent, from a national infrastructure perspective, 99% of global internet traffic actually touches the Nokia infrastructure at some point. So to make that as simple as possible, as soon as you pull out your mobile device and you're connected to the mobile network, whether it's EE, whether it's Free, Vodafone, whoever it may be, the likelihood is that it's going to touch a Nokia radio. So that's critical national infrastructure. Just so you're aware, we're a massive organisation. Just because you don't see us doesn't mean we're not keeping busy. There's 80,000 of us globally, so quite significant. I suppose the question is, why is Nokia in the room and why are we relevant to the room? I think what we can see around the room, all of the different people who have stood up here and spoken this morning, people that will be speaking this afternoon, all of the different demonstrations and applications and devices that we can see around here, everything requires connectivity. And what we're seeing more and more in terms of different environments, specifically in warehouse logistics, is more and more technology that comes into that environment requires decent connectivity or ubiquitous connectivity. What we've noticed moving away from kind of mission critical national infrastructure is there's also a place for this critical infrastructure within the enterprise environment. We're seeing more and more OT type applications, more and more devices that require connectivity. And we're seeing it with all of these different assets, the different handhelds. And one of the biggest challenges that we see is the ability for technology or connectivity to keep up with the demand of devices and applications within these environments. The devices are constantly increasing. We're seeing robotics over here, we're seeing handhelds, seeing massive issues. One of the things that we've recently done is a POC at the Port of Tilbury, which was a large warehouse. It was 230 metres long, 130 metres wide. And one of the biggest challenges that this customer was facing was they kept on having dead spots. And this was because they had floor to ceiling Coca-Cola cans, Pepsi cans, Fanta cans, you name it, whatever it is in a little container, they had it floor to ceiling. And they had significant issues with their handheld devices. There was constant dead spots, which meant that there was an impact on productivity. Now, the way that they was originally dealing with that was they was adding more and more Wi-Fi access points throughout their environment, which solved the problem to some extent, but then all it took was another application to be brought on in that environment for that user experience to be impacted again. So what we did was we said, let's have a look at the environment, let's understand it, let's see what the challenges are, let's see what the applications are that you're trying to use. So what we did here was we've stuck in what we call a radio mast in this bottom corner, which projects connectivity, 5G connectivity within this environment. And we run tests up and down the different aisles, right up to that far top corner off one radio. Off that one radio in that top far corner, the furthest point away from our device, we were receiving 500 megabits download on a handheld device. So the user experience was superior than that was on the Wi-Fi devices. All of these little dots here was all of the different Wi-Fi hotspots. The other challenge that the customer faced was every time they brought on new applications and devices and they had to add Wi-Fi hotspots, it's getting the cable into that Wi-Fi hotspot, it's getting the power to that hotspot. And they had to do this every 12 months, every time a new device and a new solution was brought on board. So it's a constant challenge keeping ubiquitous connectivity within these environments with a constant change and the constant demand of data. What I would like to show you is just a video, a reference for Graybar Technology, which is a large distribution organization in the US. They have 352 different warehouses up and down America. And hopefully some of the challenges that they mention and some of the outcomes that they talk about and devices that they talk about will be relevant and pertinent to the room today. And again, this is where we test if technology works.
Smooth operations in our warehouse is kind of the key to us being able to serve our customer.
Why is that not projecting onto the screen?
Getting that material out as
Is it loud enough? Can everyone hear that? Maybe?
fast as we can and getting it to the customer where they want it, when they need it, and how they need it. That is the lifeblood of our business. That's the white glove service that we provide.
So you'll see lots of different forklift trucks that also go up and down these aisles.
Our pickers, our packers, and our put-away teams.
What we can also do during that with those forklift trucks is we can actually attach CPEs and industrial routers to those forklift trucks, so we constantly see where they are in that environment and the health of that forklift truck as well. So we've got complete visibility of that infrastructure.
Dynamic. Things are moving around the warehouse. We have areas where we have metal conduit, wire spools, and what happens is you create dead spots and then they move the next day. So trying to chase those is a feat. It's hard to do. With the new NDAC private LTE solution, you eliminate those spots completely. The new environment gives us consistent connectivity throughout the entire warehouse.
When we look at traditional Wi-Fi, we're replacing our access points every 3 to 5 years. Cellular, for us to go from where we're at today to the next level is a code upgrade. We're not going to have to recable. We're not going to have to change out a bunch of materials. And then the cellular technology it lasts a lot longer.
So just on that point as well, with Wi-Fi access points, we all know that they have a shelf life of around 5 years. Yes, you might be able to extend them. With the radios, they're in there for 15 years. So you get the same grade radio in your environment as a managed service operator would do for the public network coverage that we see outdoors.
What we had to do is we took the existing environment and we added dongles that you can get from Nokia to be able to use that mobile cart wherever you want in the warehouse.
Switching to the private LTE gives us enhanced speeds, better security features, better connectivity. That all can equal to cost savings for the company and a better operator experience.
So the partnership with Nokia was pivotal in our solution.
So I'll stop that video there. One of the other benefits of private mobile networks as well is the outdoor connectivity. So yes, we all look at the internal environments that we have in our distribution and our warehouse and logistics, but it's also how can it extend into the outdoor environments. That's where Wi-Fi cannot compete. This is where private mobile networks is far superior. It can provide that ubiquitous coverage indoor and outdoor. This is just some of the different use cases that we're seeing when it loads up on private networks within the warehouse and logistics industry, and many of them you'll probably see that are relevant with the people that are on show today. And these are just some of the system integrators. So I wanted to keep it short and sweet, not kind of, you don't really see private mobile networks. It's not something that everyone would physically see and touch and feel, not like what you see around the room today. It's the enabler for what people are trying to achieve, a lot of these applications and devices. We just want to enable people to be more productive and have always on connectivity no matter where they are in the environment or the changes that happen in that environment. Any questions?
Might be a dumb question, but the
No
devices
such thing.
that connect to your network, do they all have to be 5G, 4G ready, like SIMs?
So handheld devices, yes,
Yeah.
but there are other devices where we can provide compatibility. So we do a lot of work with the likes of, apologies, Omron, AGVs and AMRs, where we change the Wi-Fi modems to 5G modems. So there are ways that we can change the compatibility from a device being 3G enabled or Wi-Fi enabled to enable it onto the 5G network. Any more questions? Everyone hungry?
No, keep going, we're running behind.
So in terms of implementation against a standard sort of network solution, how's that looking?
So if you look at a private network versus a traditional Wi-Fi network in these environments, you probably need, the ratio is 15:1 in terms of the amount of radios that are needed versus the amount of Wi-Fi access points that are needed. You just need the same cabling infrastructure. So it's Ethernet type cabling and it's power. So actually having a reduced amount of infrastructure also means that you don't have to necessarily worry about that cabling infrastructure in the future. And you're confident that day one, and we can enable 20,000 devices plus within an environment that I can currently work in, day one, you don't have to change that infrastructure for 5, 10, 15-year period. So that should outlast any Wi-Fi implementation that you have.
What about satellite sites? If you've got satellite sites, things you can potentially spin up or 3PLs or stuff like that, they're working alongside you, how easy is it to implement it into those periods of time?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a solution called NDAC Compact, which is a lot smaller traditional version, and it's standardized. So we have a mobility model, so you can chop and change. You can change it if you've only got kind of an environment for a certain period of time, which might be shorter than kind of a 3-year, 5-year term, and you want to move it to a new environment. That's absolutely simple. The infrastructure is owned by the enterprise organization, so it's up to you if you want to change that, move it, take it wherever you want.
Quick question for me, security. We've recently done a couple of projects in the defence industry where security is like
Yeah.
the charts. Any issues, any considerations, any sort of special nuance we need to be aware of?
Absolutely not. So our biggest customers are in defence. So we do a lot of stuff with the US Army. We've done a lot of support with Ukraine. So the actual benefit of a private mobile network is you decide as the customer what you want to leave the network. Actually, that's completely separate to your LAN. You can connect certain parts of it to your LAN. You can connect certain parts of it to your cloud. It's up to you what you want to keep on site, what you want to keep separate, and what you want to go into the cloud or leave that premises. So the security is completely up to you. We also work with the likes of Zscaler. We work with an organization called OneLayer as well. So and Palo Alto. So if there are additional levels of security that are required, we can work alongside those best of breed vendors.
Brilliant. Right.
One of the things with traditional Wi-Fi is constant growth, I'm sure, is roaming between APs.
Yeah.
Does this help with that? Is there less roaming to be done? Is there any?
Absolutely. So the transition between the different radios and antennas is sub 1 millisecond. So like as a user, you wouldn't even notice. So that device, and that's why AGVs and AMRs work so well on this network, would be far superior than that on a Wi-Fi deployment. And actually, to the extent, we did a bit of a project in the Northeast with Nissan, and we was doing autonomous vehicles. And when I say autonomous vehicles, this was autonomous HGVs in an outdoor environment. So what they was doing was they had a warehouse on one part of the business park, and then they had the manufacturing centre on the other side of the business park. And they couldn't attract kind of lorry drivers to come and just do this small mundane job where they went to the warehouse, picked up some materials, brought it back to the site, they did the manufacturing, back, etc. So what they decided to do was put a 5G private network in this kind of in this business park, and we created an autonomous vehicle. Now that had 8 radios to create this loop of where this HGV was driving. and at no point did that lose connectivity or drop off. As you can imagine, with it being a HGV, safety parameters were massively high because we also had to have someone in the back end to be able to take over that lorry as quickly as possible in the event of a disaster. And it had certain checkpoints that it had to kind of stop off, and kind of someone would click a button, it would approve, it would cross a road, it would hit a crossing, whatever it may be. So the fact that we can run autonomous HGVs on the network, crossing multiple radios, should give you the confidence that kind of the difference of a handheld is second to none.
Yes, key point that actually, because the amount of projects that we do, where you find out after the event, in terms of customer getting disconnected, getting kicked out of the mobile software as a result of roaming issues.
Yeah.
And the amount of partnership probably with Wi-Fi providers and IT in terms of how it should be configured to reduce the amount of roaming required. Especially with your system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we do a lot of work with Omron, and one of Omron's biggest customers is Toyota, and Toyota had massive issues once they ran AGVs out in an environment, because they ran AGVs out in their manufacturing facility, but they didn't run it past IT, so they didn't check the connectivity. So you've got this ops manager or director who's complaining about these AGVs to Omron, saying they're not working, they're not doing what they should be doing, they keep on just going off the network, whatever it may be. And it turned out that it was a connectivity issue. It kept on hitting dead spots, and then that Omron needed to be rebooted every time or pushed back into an area of network coverage. So, and Omron actually say 90% of their faults are all connectivity related. So they're a massive advocate of private mobile networks because it pushes down the amount of support tickets and support issues that their customers have.
Craig's our technical manager just there. Craig, what percentage of our tickets are related to network issues? Yeah, it's not. 80%. Who? Only 80%, right. So, yeah.
Well, you were outside, I'm sure all of our customers.
Yeah, and I said it on day one we would have issues. Of course, the optimistic approach. I don't know why I said it, but I told you so. Brilliant. That's great. Any more questions? Brilliant.
Perfect. Thank you.